Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 10th through 13th, 2022. Well, we're coming up on a very powerfully activating time, and the stars, the planets are all lining up with a single message for us that the garden is ours to build back, and yet we have to learn to receive it in our hearts. So we're coming up on the Sagittarius full moon, and this is going to be happening on Tuesday, June 13th. And the full moon is in Sagittarius at 23 degrees, a very activating number. And with Mars at home in Aries and Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, a fire sign in Aries, the most activated fire sign, there's just a huge energy of activation of the creation fires, this desire to fully live. In Sagittarius, the energy is about your quest, your purpose, your reason for living, your greater journey in connection to the spiritual whole. Now, this full moon, though, is happening not too far out of square with Neptune at 25 degrees Pisces. So that means the sun and the moon are both in square. We have a mutable T-square. And so in square to Neptune, it's saying that it's asking us, what is in the way of living our dream, our highest dream, right? As Neptune has the power to dream and vision. It's also about delusions. So it's this full moon is about showing us very clearly the delusions and the belief systems that have been in the way, keeping us from that full activation, that full realization of who we are and why we're here, and that higher spiritual calling. It's almost like a lot of the last period of time in this evolution seems to be about gaslighting humanity to make sure that they don't remember that they're spiritual beings first, and that's just the simple essence. As a human being, soul in a body, we have direct access to creation, to God consciousness. And what we're doing right now is being asked to embody this energy of life and living on a cellular level. We can, in our mind, say, yes, that makes sense. Quantum physics has even proven it to us that we are a fractal of God consciousness. But still, we are operating, and we've been so programmed to live from this place of lack, and scarcity and trauma, and there's not enough. Our whole world has been based on a transactional society where we need to go out and get what we need when we have everything right here. So it's a very powerful shift right now. And everything is about this, learning to receive our own abundance. We have had now Mercury is now direct, about to move back into Gemini. And so Mercury's gaining momentum, where it took a while to get out of the retrograde energies. We're still in it because of Mercury square to Saturn. Now that has coming off now, and Mercury's moving into a trine with Pluto. Very supportive in changing and transforming the structures of our life to better support who we really are, to free our mind from this programming. And so, but that square with Saturn, Mercury square Saturn, it was like they're the two time planets. Like Saturn's like the timekeeper, reality keeper, and then Mercury's our day-to-day relationship with time and reality and consciousness and psychology. And so the two together, with Mercury's trying to turn direct and square with Saturn, it brought like a very glitchy energy, and very interesting that, we know that feeling of, especially as Mercury turns retrograde or turns direct, a lot of times things just don't kind of flow. And I just, the word that comes is just this kind of glitchy, sticky energy. Now, what's coming forward around this is really interesting and actually very encouraging. And it's like, if you're having problems, and this may have been going on for a while and you didn't know what it was, and you were maybe, it's easy to get into resistance when things don't flow and feels like everything's working against you, which it's been like that for a lifetime. So, but there's this energy of like, you may be in the process of creation or moving in life, right? And then you're beginning to move on a trajectory or a project. And then because time and energies are shifting so rapidly, it's like those timelines that were supporting your original manifestation are like falling away. It's like the structures are there no longer to support that timeline. And then your project that we're being asked to have so much patience and to slow down and to learn to co-create with the universe, and it's just not easy. But the understanding of this concept, it might be like, oh, you can slow down and have patience and love for yourself when things aren't flowing for you, because that means you're shifting and rapidly changing so fast, and you're receiving the energies. And so it's like, oh, wait, that project's a new project now. It's a new day. It's a new moment. We're being asked, the Aquarian age, the shift seems to be a complete and a dimensional shift, requiring a completely different relationship to time, and the whole concept of time. And so it's interesting, these planets bringing us that energy now though, the Sun and Pallas Athene have been close, and they're going to continue to stay close up through this full moon. The Sun is in Gemini, and we're speaking about our expression and coming into, especially with Mercury now returning back into Gemini this weekend. And it's kind of like Mercury retrograde is always about rethinking our actions and rethinking our perspective. And so on the cusp, 3 times passing over Taurus, going into Gemini, back into Taurus, back into Gemini. And this is about our self-worth, the Taurus, our value, especially at those end degrees, and Gemini for expression. It's like, all right, we've been coming to terms with the potential that we have within us, supernova souls. It's another thing to share it with the world. And it's quite intense to be landing home who you really are, and then immediately called to step up and represent that in the world when you're like, oh, but this astrology is so powerful. And, we talked about how you can't really take one part of astrology of what's going on. You've got to take the whole picture, so the book might say it has a certain meaning, but when you put it next to, just like in a tarot card reading, you got to take into account the placement and the cards surrounding it for the true meaning. And part of the energy right now that is very important for us to tap into, understand, receive, is Venus and Mars, our personal planets of masculine and feminine, at home in their home signs. Mars is in Aries and Venus is in Taurus. And it's so sweet because it's this energy that we've all been looking for, and a huge, core level, deep subconscious programming in supernova souls, all of humanity, but supernova souls not feeling welcome and held and supported and received and in this world because of the persecution of the spiritual light. And so it's a very powerful energy to have these personal planets that have been on such a journey in these recent years to empower. It's like divine masculine empowerment, divine feminine empowerment, healing, clearing, and now they're both at home and they're having very powerful activating transits. So let's talk about this, because when you're at home, a true home is like really actually supportive and nurturing. It gives you the stability to grow, right? If you don't have that foundation. So this energy is so different. And it's really interesting because as much as we're feeling this rapid shift and change of energies and timelines dissolving and what? The door closed behind you and the bridge, there's the bridge to nowhere. But we're also feeling this, supernova souls are feeling more stable than they've been feeling for a while, even though it's getting more and more unstable. And this is where we got to claim this, and understand and know that our abundance that we've been trying to claim and own, our spiritual and intuitive abundance, means that we have an ability that new energies are more supportive to us. They're destabilizing to all the false bullshit, but we've been through hell and back, and now is our time to thrive. And the stars are telling this exactly. So Mars is coming up to an exact conjunction with Chiron for the full moon in Sagittarius. And it's so powerful because Chiron has a masculine energy, but it's the wounded healer. So it's like the masculine's relationship to the feminine inside. And so Chiron represents our deepest wounds. And yet it also has the energy of a shamanic power. When you heal the wounds of Chiron, then you access the shamanic power. In this case, in Aries, it's life force. It's literal power. It's literal energy. And it's like, okay, we have direct connection to source and there's energy and electricity everywhere. Why can't we access that in our body to heal ourselves, to co-create this new world, So very powerful activation there of the divine masculine, because Chiron can have an energy of woundedness and getting stuck in victim. And this is where the masculine hasn't felt empowered, hasn't felt, we're all with this full moon square Neptune, we're all facing where we have the grief around getting off of our spiritual quest and how far we've gotten off of our path. And then with Jupiter and square to black moon Lilith, it's like, well, that's because you don't deserve it, right? Because you failed. But that's these deep, dark, the deepest, darkest places of our psyche around receiving for supernova souls, around coming back into connection. It's very, very intense energies of deep core things that have been keeping us from being able to receive and be received. Supernova souls have felt for lifetimes that, I've gone through all this to incarnate on this planet and bring this light and bring these skills, and you just want to help. And then it's like, what are you doing here? Who do you think you are? Being the light of the world. So it's like this feeling of being rejected in your spiritual truth. Now, this is often replayed karmically in early childhood. Often supernova souls, because you want to complete, you've chosen like your arch nemesis as parents or some sort of conflict in the lineage. They played a role of controlling and suppressing you. And so it's a very difficult karmic situation, but we've chosen this because when you have that influence very early in life, it gives you an opportunity to fully pull it out by the roots. Not very pretty and not very fun, but we're all facing where we don't feel mothered and cared for, and we don't know how to receive. And supernova souls are typically good at giving, and I want to help, and I want to heal, and I want to give. But when you're giving from a place of lack, it's all giving to get. And we're coming back to this whole thing that's trying to heal this reptilian, narcissistic, parasitic bullshit reality where we've been so programmed that we have to go and fight for what we need out there and manipulate. So many situations, even in the most spiritually advanced souls, you'll just find this underlying, I want, I care and I want to give, but it's really to get. As long as you're coming from lack and scarcity, it's all to get. What happens when we show up in the garden, fully receiving our own abundance? Now, so Mars is getting this activation with Chiron, these deep wounds of like where he gave up his power, where he said, okay, whatever, I'll put the mask on, or, just all of us where we've had to concede and be disempowered. And the masculine feels like just how we all feel, or going through like our permission to receive, and whether we feel worthy of our spiritual quest, because this is the Sagittarius activation. And Mars is feeling like he's the divine masculine is feeling like he's failed the goddess, right? Starting to come back into this abundance. And then it's like, oh no, I don't deserve that. I can't receive that because I failed her. I didn't fight for the garden. How can I be in the garden? So this healing, this divine masculine healing, is like this like empowerment of like, because the masculine empowered wants to build and protect and honor, and that picture of this, when the feminine is held like that and honored in this juicy creation life force energy, then it's an overflowing, just like free energy. It's the same concept, same thing. It's perpetual motion. And it's like everyone can receive, So it's just this like serving at the pleasure of the goddess, for all of our benefit. So but then we've got to look at the feminine, and can she receive that kind of honoring? Or does she feel, dirty, wrong, and bad, and shamed, and not worthy, and all this? It's so deep, and it's so insidious, and it doesn't make any sense, but still it's there. And we've got to heal it. We've got to face it. We've got to go. Right now, supernova souls, you are being called with this Jupiter square black moon Lilith to not run anymore from those deepest, darkest places of isolation, abandonment, loneliness, rejection. Go stand in the fires. You cannot let this control your life anymore. And it's almost like maybe that fire energy is cracking open the pine needle so the seeds can come out, so the pineal gland can flourish, so we can receive our own abundance. We've got it all. And so Venus is coming up to Uranus right now this weekend. And that's very powerful. This is activation of Kundalini energy, it feels like. It's like the higher vibrational feminine. It's this higher intuitive power, and it's kind of like she's been hit by lightning, and she's kind of going like, what do I do with this? So we've got this huge activation, and of course then you're going to have more availability to access these energies. But then of course we have to face our fear programming and feelings of any unworthiness around this abundance. Now then Venus for the full moon comes into a conjunction with the North Node. And it's like a connecting this energy. It's beginning the North Node Uranus chapter, which is July and August. And it's connecting these planets together or this energies together. And the North Node is, how are we going to get to where we're going? What is the path forward? And in Taurus, the path forward is abundance. It's self-worth. It's receiving. And it's having what we need. It's feeling comfortable. It's feeling at home, especially with Venus joining. So can we feel at home in the higher activating energies? Can we make a home for ourselves in community and beautiful, what we know is possible, and still be in our higher frequency vibrations, right? Because we're kind of going back to the last shift of ages. And at the last shift of ages, a massive activation of Christ consciousness. And then those souls that were practicing those arts and those ancient truths had to hide and disperse, So it's like, can you first of all, receive that higher intuitive power and be together with other people? Because that's going to amplify that shit. Are you sure you can handle it? So Venus is like getting this huge activation, and it's cracking everything that, breaking that armor that's kept her all, the feminine in all of us, all blocked up and guarded and armored. We've all had to do it to protect ourselves because we've been so attacked, mistreated, manipulated, and it's been so hard to trust. But this is shifting. And so the North Node is saying, a new way forward for the feminine. And the Uranus is saying, it's a new way forward. It's activated feminine, like, come on, like we've got the fountain, we found it, but it's not running. How do we turn it on? And that has to do with the divine masculine, the spark, which feels like the love and devotion. So we're all being asked to walk in that garden, to come back into rhythm, and connection with the earth. This Uranus is the Taurus energy, and Uranus and Taurus is an activation, an embodiment of spiritual energies in physical form. We're literally, the abundance we're talking about is embodying God consciousness on a cellular level. It's already in our blueprint, in our DNA. And yet there's been so much that's tried to keep us from accessing this. And it's the whole agenda behind the current health crisis or, propaganda. So anyway, it's time for us to claim back that incredible, juicy creation energy into our lives again. And the masculine in us coming back into, out of that place of denial and shame and standing strong for that energy, and the feminine feeling that she can relax and receive in that place, and then walk in this garden, take it with us, and call those others to us magnetically who are also co-creating this garden. And a beautiful chapter lies ahead for supernova souls. So let it fall away. Let those timelines fall away. Be easy on yourself right now. Step back, slow down, recapitulate, reorganize, redirect. Because this Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow, moving into Gemini, it's pushing us. But we have a lot of square energy, and this full moon is a mutable T-square. And the mutable energy is about adjusting. And so if we're going to claim back that higher quest of embodiment of spiritual energy on a cellular level, we have to be willing to let fall away and not be attached. And it's like, we understand this concept, right? Like, I don't want to be attached to a certain outcome, have expectations, but this is like moment to moment play of events and expectations. It's very challenging. And yet the surrender into this new way of co-creation and being and manifesting is so satisfying and beautiful. And that's where we need to get to. This place where we recognize and understand this abundance and embodiment of this abundance. And then we can come to each other and in our interactions as whole humans, satisfied. So we're not trying to get anything from each other, like the way this whole thing's been operating in this parasitic reality. And so everything right now is about whatever's in the way, that Black Moon, Lilith, and Cancer, lifetime after lifetime of not feeling received and nurtured and cared for here. And now we rewrite this story and we come home. And so hang in there. No, it's just super rapid shifting, but keep in mind that I am seeing supernova souls find this incredible level of stability the more the energies shift, right? Ironically. So you're so beautiful, so powerful. Thank you so much for being here and going through all you've gone through for this beautiful next chapter we have together, and stay in that place. This is our power right now. Don't get in the fray. So feel your feels, but don't play in the lower sandbox right now. It's a crucial time. Every moment that you can stay in that garden, in that abundance, in that possibility, in that life that is coming and happening right here, right now, it's just totally defragging the matrix. It's like the part of this glitchy thing is that our structures, the matrix fault structures, are beginning to fray. The fabric is beginning to fray, but then we're getting tangled. Those of us who are trying to exit, it's easy to get tangled as you exit, right? And but it's happening, and I'm seeing it more and more. So hang in there. And I hope that I am so sorry to miss I was out of range for the Gemini new moon activation. And thank you so much for being with me through all these years. And I look forward, I hope you can join me for the Sagittarius full moon activation. And this is going to be on the 13th. So the full moon is on Tuesday, the 14th, and the activation will be on Monday, the 13th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. That is exactly 12 hours from before the actual full moon in Sagittarius. And so we'll be able to really sink into these energies and really be present with this whole massive timeline unraveling and rearranging, and use our collective energy together. We have created such a powerful field by doing this work together, and it's such an honor to come together energetically with you. We've created these beautiful pathways for when we do come together in person, we'll know exactly what to do. And it's exciting, but also powerful. And we have to be ready to receive on all levels. That means supernova souls in your life. And supernova souls in your life are kind of like this Uranus Venus. It's like massively activating because you see in the other person your potential, and you can't not see your potential. If you recognize it in them, you have to receive it for yourself. Of course, that's going to pull up all of our deepest vulnerabilities and where we haven't been seen and where we haven't been received, and all of this push-pull games that we've been programmed to play. That's all, you let it all dissolve with the timelines and the ego concepts and the attachments, and try to be present in that garden moment to moment. That is the work right now, and it's so huge and powerful. So I hope to see you on that Sagittarius full moon activation. And if it doesn't work in your time zone, know that it's live. We're working outside of time, and as soon as you can go ahead and catch the replay and fully receive and be in the energy with us in this supernova field. So I look forward to seeing you there or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.